Why does she tear you down with just one look when you most needed to be strong? Why do you trade your mission for the comfort of a touch that puts you to sleep? Why do you call love the elegant fear of not facing your own solitude, the unexamined? Life is not worth living, Socrates said. But tell me, have you ever had the courage to examine what you feel for her? Or do you prefer to call love what, deep down, is just a silent escape? This video won't teach you tricks to conquer or formulas to please. It's a whisper in the dawn, a calm blade over your illusion. She won't save you, not because she's cruel, cold, or selfish, but because she is the test. And you were made to be examined by this test, not to be destroyed by it. The world will tell you that female approval is the seal of your relevance. But Socrates knew that the man who bows to desire before understanding what he desires crawls without realizing it. You were taught to seek her, to charm her, to follow her, to offer your soul in exchange for a touch, for a smile, for a promise made between breaths. But no one told you that the price of this is your own direction. Here, in this space between lucidity and delirium, we'll walk together, stripping away illusions, facing what you don't want to see. How many times have you sacrificed your dignity for crumbs of affection? How many times have you called love your refusal to grow? How many times have you abandoned your mission in exchange for an instant of comfort? I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to remind you of what you're forgetting. You weren't born to be anyone's slave, not even hers. She is not your salvation. She is the mirror where your true face reveals itself. And if you don't learn to look at that reflection without trembling, you'll never be free. Take a deep breath, look inside, because after today, my brother, you won't be the same anymore. Before we begin, a quick message. There's a concept that few people know about, but that can completely change how you deal with your thoughts. It's possible to restructure negative mental patterns using a simple combination of science and philosophy. In a few minutes, I'll tell you how you can access this exclusive knowledge. Now, let's get back to the content. Do you remember when you met her? Maybe it was on an ordinary afternoon in some random cafe, or on a party night when your eyes met hers by chance. In that moment, something inside you changed. Suddenly, your mission took second place. Your goals seemed less urgent. What was priority turned to smoke. All because of a look, a smile, a light touch on the arm. You called it destiny, called it connection, called it love. But it was at that exact instant that you began to forget who you really were. You started walking toward her, and, without realizing it, you started walking away from yourself. Because it's easy to forget yourself when her perfume fills the air. It's easy to abandon your plans when her lips call your name. It's easy to abandon your discipline when her body lies beside yours. Socrates would say this is the exact moment when man trades his freedom for a comfortable illusion. You think you're choosing love, but deep down you're choosing not to be alone. You're choosing her approval instead of your own. You're giving away your power to feel the warmth of a presence. You transform her into your north, and when you do that, you lose yourself. She didn't ask to be the center of your world, but you put her there. And now everything you do is for her, out of fear of losing her, out of fear of losing what you feel when you're with her. You want her to see your pain and heal you, want her to see your effort and reward you. want her to see your love and save you. But she can't do that because she's not here for that. She is the test, not the destination. You think the search for her is love, but often it's just the escape from yourself. It's your refusal to face the emptiness you carry when no one is watching. It's your refusal to be a man, alone, in silence, without an audience. You forget who you are because you want her to tell you who you are. But when you do that, you become fragile, you become malleable, you become dependent. And the moment she realizes this, something breaks. Not because she's cruel, but because she feels when a man bends to please. She feels when a man loses himself to not lose her. And in that moment, she begins to lose respect. Your search for her should be a choice, not a necessity. You should want to be with her, but not need her to exist. You should love her, but not use love as a crutch for your lack of purpose. Socrates warned us about the danger of living without examining life, but the greater danger is living without examining our own desires. You desire her touch. You desire her smile. You desire her body. But why? Is it for pleasure, or is it for distraction? Is it for company, or is it for escape from silence? The search for her isn't the problem. The problem is when, in that search, you forget who you are. When you put aside your discipline, when you abandon your mission, when you betray your own word, all to feel that you are loved, all to feel that you belong to something, all to avoid the silence that confronts you when you're alone. You want her to see you, but first you need to learn to see yourself. You want her to love you, but first you need to learn to love yourself for real, without needing applause. You want her to choose you, but first you need to choose yourself. Only then will the search for her stop being an escape and become a conscious choice. A clean choice, without fear, without desperation, without the need to lose yourself for her to stay. Because in the end, my brother, she doesn't want to be your world. She wants to walk beside a man who already has a world to offer, and that world can only be built when you stop seeking her to complete yourself and start seeking her to share. Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. I tell you, an unexamined love is not worth seeking. Because when you seek her without knowing who you are, what you deliver isn't love. It's disguised neediness, and neediness never builds, it only consumes. You think she is the prize, think she is the end of the journey, think her love will free you. But what if I tell you that she was never the destination? She is the test, she always was. She is the mirror that reflects where you're still weak, is the storm that reveals whether your ship can withstand or sinks, is the fire that exposes whether you built your convictions on stone or on vanity. You believe that if you conquer her heart, you'll find peace. But peace doesn't come from her touch. Peace comes from the man you become, regardless of her. You think she is your purpose, but she can never be. Her purpose isn't to complete you. Her purpose is to reveal you. You don't understand why she tests you, why she confronts you, why she seems to pull away when you're most vulnerable. But she doesn't do this out of cruelty. She does it because she needs to feel the firmness of the ground she walks on. She needs to feel that when she confronts you, you don't fall apart. She needs to feel that when she pulls away, you don't despair. She needs to feel that when she tests your limits, you don't lose your calm. You think you're being rejected, but often you're being examined. And in this exam, many men fail. They fail because they bend. They fail because they beg. They fail because They trade their dignity for crumbs of affection. They fail because they make her the center of their decisions. They fail because they abandon their mission to follow her. She doesn't want to carry the weight of your soul. She doesn't want to be your motivation to wake up. She doesn't want to be your reason to exist. She wants to be chosen by a man who is already whole, a man who doesn't need her to breathe, a man who doesn't need her to walk, a man who, if she leaves, will remain firm in his mission. You think she wants control, but what she wants is to feel security. And security isn't you saying beautiful words. Security isn't you giving in to every demand. Security isn't you abandoning your values to please her. Security is you remaining firm even when she tests you. Security is you keeping your word even when she wants you to break it. Security is you staying calm even when she provokes storms. Security is you remembering that she is not your destiny. She is the test that reveals whether you're ready for what you came to build in this world. You think love is saying yes to everything, but love is having limits, is having spine, is having values that don't bend even for the touch you most desire. She wants to feel that you have a life bigger than the relationship, that you have a mission that doesn't depend on her mood, that you have principles that aren't sold out of fear of losing her. Because deep down she wants to follow a man who can walk in darkness without needing applause. She wants to feel that you are a port, not a drifting boat. She wants to feel that even when everything is falling, you remain whole. And if you don't understand this, if you make her your destiny, if you make her your heir, she will feel it. And when she feels it, she will pull away, not because she hates you, but because she needs to respect who you are. And there is no respect for those who kneel out of neediness. You need to understand this. She is the test. She is the opportunity to show who you really are. When she challenges your patience, when she tests your strength, when she questions your decisions, when she pulls away to see if you lose yourself. These are moments when life asks you, will you bend or remain standing? Will you beg or maintain your dignity? Will you lose focus or continue in your mission? You think you're being rejected, but sometimes you're being refined, being forged, being polished. And if you don't pass the test, you'll continue repeating the same patterns with other women, other stories, other bodies, until you learn she is not the destination, she is the test. Pass through her with honor, with presence, with dignity, with the certainty that your life is bigger than what you feel in the moment. Only then will you be ready to love without being enslaved, and to be loved without needing to lose yourself. You call it love, but deep down it's just the fear of being alone. You claim you surrendered out of love, but deep down it was just your need to be seen, to be desired, to feel alive through her eyes. What you call love is often just emotional dependence disguised as romanticism. You confuse intensity with truth, passion with destiny, affection with purpose. You kneel before her touch and forget your mission, abandoned your discipline for some sweet words. Say, I love you, while abandoning yourself to be accepted, and you don't see because she smiles, she kisses you, she calls you a man, but inside you're losing every piece of yourself. Little by little, you stop saying what you think so as not to displease. You stop imposing limits so as not to lose affection. You start acting to avoid conflicts, not to maintain truth. You trade authenticity for acceptance, trade firmness for compliments, trade dignity for moments of affection and call this love. But this isn't love. This is slavery. Slavery of a man who forgot who he was. Slavery of a man who confuses need with devotion. Slavery of a man who transforms a woman's touch into his source of value. Socrates warned, the man who doesn't examine his own life is lost, but the man who doesn't examine his desires is chained. You don't understand why she loses interest, why she stops admiring you, why she starts testing you more and more. But inside she feels when you sell yourself cheap, when you give up what you shouldn't give up, when you abandon who you are to maintain her smile. She feels when you depend on her affection to continue being a man. She feels when the I love you comes from a man without backbone, and she can't respect that, because love without respect is just shared neediness. You say you would do anything for her, but you should ask, does she want a man who would do anything to please her? Or does she want a man who does what's right, even when that means facing her discomfort? You think sacrifice is proof of love, but often sacrifice is your cowardice disguised as virtue, because it's easier to lose yourself in her than to find yourself in yourself. It's easier to fall asleep in her arms than to face the emptiness that exists when you're alone. It's easier to seek her approval than to build your own approval. It's easier to give in than to remain firm. Love for many men has become the perfect alibi to avoid the hard work of growing. But true love doesn't destroy you. It doesn't demand that you betray yourself. It doesn't demand that you lose yourself. It doesn't demand that you abandon your essence. True love isn't prison, it's expansion. It's the sum of two wholes, not the union of two needy halves. It's freedom within the bond, but to get there, you need to die to the illusion. The illusion that she will save you, the illusion that her touch will fill your emptiness, the illusion that her affection is your validation. You need to let die the man who needs to be accepted to feel value, the man who abandons his mission to feel affection, the man who forgets who he is when he's with her, because that man doesn't love. That man clings, that man consumes, and in the end, that man pushes away what he most desires. The woman can't enslave you, but your dependence on her can. She is the test, and you need to pass. Not begging for love, but remaining whole within it. Not pleading for affection, but offering presence. Not demanding that she heal your wounds, but arriving healed. Love is beautiful, but the illusion of love is the silent slavery of many men. The difference between one and the other is in who you choose to be. Now answer me. Have you ever had the feeling of being stuck, even while trying to change? Have you noticed that no matter how much you read books, watch videos, make an effort, something invisible continues pulling you back to the same patterns? Know that this isn't coincidence, and it has an explanation. Recently, researchers and scholars rediscovered a mental transformation model used for centuries by philosophers, strategists, and thinkers who changed the course of history. A silent but incredibly effective method that combines science, psychology, and ancient wisdom, and that to this day few people know about. Those who applied it describe it as turning an internal key, clarity, discipline, stronger identity, as if for the first time they were really in control of their own mind. We left a complete video explaining all of this on our website. If you want to watch it now, just scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description, or in the first pinned comment below. You think she wants the man who says yes to everything, who smiles all the time, who never creates tension. who does everything to please. You think this is love, but to her, this is weakness. And weakness doesn't generate respect. You think she wants the man who drops everything for her, who puts aside his dreams, his discipline, his routine, just to be by her side. But deep down, this is just your neediness disguised as romance. And she feels it. She feels when you give in to avoid conflict. She feels when you bend so as not to lose affection. She feels when you adapt, even if it costs your truth. And when she feels it, something inside her begins to die. Not because she's ungrateful, but because her respect is an instinct. She respects the man who remains firm, even when she tries to break him. She respects the man who listens to her, but who doesn't lose his own voice. She respects the man who loves her, but who doesn't abandon who he is to be loved. She respects the man who has clear limits, who has direction, who has discipline, because she wants security. And security isn't you doing everything for her. Security is her feeling that you won't lose yourself because of her. She wants to know that if necessary, you can live without her. She wants to know that you choose her, but don't need her to exist. She wants to feel that when the world shakes, you don't collapse. She wants to feel that when she tests you, you don't fall apart. Because the test isn't about her wanting to destroy you. The test is about her wanting to be sure that you are who you say you are. She observes how you react to her silence, how you react to her distance, how you react when she gets irritated, when she provokes, when she closes off. And in those moments, she finds the truth about you. She sees if you're a man who loses control, if you beg for attention, if you give up everything to calm her, if you put aside your mission to earn a smile. She feels when you become a boy who needs approval, and she loses respect. You think that to be loved, you need to be pleasant, but she doesn't want a pleasant man. She wants a real man. She wants to feel your firmness in your gaze, your calm when she screams, your clarity when she confuses. She wants to feel that you can protect her, not just physically, but emotionally. And this only happens when you are unshakable, when your peace doesn't depend on her mood, when your direction doesn't depend on her affection, when your essence doesn't mold itself to avoid rejection. Socrates said that life needs to be examined. I tell you, your posture needs to be examined. You need to ask yourself, am I the type of man who bends when she tests? Am I the type of man who begs when she pulls away? Am I the type of man who abandons who he is to not be alone? Because if the answer is yes, you are not unshakable. And while you're not, you won't be able to lead. And if you don't lead, she doesn't feel security. She may even like you. She may even love you, but she won't respect you. And where there's no respect, love doesn't survive. Being unshakable isn't being cold, isn't being indifferent, isn't being arrogant. Being unshakable is having a mission bigger than your desire for her, is loving without losing yourself, is feeling without bending, is remaining firm. Even when everything inside you wants to beg for crumbs of affection, being unshakable is knowing that your life doesn't revolve around her, that she is part of your world, but not the center of it, that she is loved, but that you don't need to be a slave to what you feel. Because, in the end, what she really respects isn't the man who surrenders completely, but the man who surrenders while maintaining his completeness, the man who loves her but who never forgets who he is, the man who remains in control of himself, even when her body is all he desires, the man who maintains focus, even when her presence is a delicious distraction. The man who knows that love isn't submission, it's strength, it's choice, it's clarity. She respects the man who remains a man. Even when love consumes him, you think living is pleasing. That being loved is being accepted, that having value is being chosen by her. But Socrates would say that living is questioning every desire, every fear, every need to be approved. He knew that the man who lives in search of applause lives as a slave, and that there's no heavier chain than the need to be loved by someone before loving yourself. You want her touch, her gaze, her body. But have you asked yourself what you're willing to sacrifice for it? Your discipline, your mission, your integrity, yourself. You surrender easily because you confuse affection with need. But Socrates would remind you that the man who doesn't master his desires will be mastered by them. You think love will complete you, but the love that completes you is that which is born when you're already whole, not that which you use as a crutch to not face your solitude. You want to build something with her. First, you need to build something within yourself. You want her to respect you. First, you need to respect yourself. You want her to follow you. First, you need to have a direction to walk. Socrates knew that the man who lives an unexamined life lives an empty life, but the man who lives without examining his emotions lives a life of slavery. You think she wants a man who bends for her, but she wants a man who doesn't bend before anything. Not her, not his own neediness, not his own fears. She wants a man who maintains focus, who maintains posture, who maintains clarity, even when she tests him, even when the world provokes him, even when her body invites him to abandon his discipline. Socrates died without bending. He chose death over betraying who he was. He chose truth instead of convenience. He chose dignity instead of acceptance. That's why his voice still echoes, because he knew that living without integrity is the worst kind of death. You think she is your destiny, but she is just part of your journey. You think peace is in her arms, but peace is born when you stop needing her to feel value. You think victory is conquering her, but victory is conquering yourself. Being a man in the Socratic sense is having the courage to remain firm, to look in her eyes and not tremble, to maintain your mission even when the desire for her consumes your bones, to choose truth even when she prefers the comfortable lie, to choose discipline even when she desires your time without limits, to choose your vision even when her body seems more urgent than your objectives. Socrates taught us that the greatest danger isn't outside, it's inside, in unexamined desires, in unfaced fears, in unrecognized neediness. You want her to love you? Show that you can live without her love. Show that you choose her but don't need her. Show that you love her but won't lose yourself, because deep down the woman respects the man who can walk alone, who can smile alone, who can conquer the world without depending on applause. She desires a man who moves by purpose, not by need. A man who is capable of loving without losing direction. Who is capable of feeling without surrendering to chaos? Who is capable of leading even when his heart beats fast, feeling her scent? This is the unshakable man. This is the man who lives without bending. This is the man who, when he loves, transforms. Love into expansion, not into prison. Socrates invites you to be that man. The one who doesn't betray himself. The one who doesn't sell himself. The one who doesn't trade his essence for moments of affection. The one who can look into any woman's eyes, desire her, love her, and still remain who he is. This is the calling. To live without bending, to love without losing yourself, to feel without enslaving yourself, to choose truth even when it hurts, to be whole even when you desire to be completed. And remember, she is not your destiny. She is the mirror that reveals the man you chose to be. So now you know, she was never your destiny. She was always the test, the mirror, the calling. And now, my brother, the question is no longer about her. It's about you. Will you continue seeking approval in gazes? Will you continue trading your discipline for crumbs of affection? Will you continue calling love what is just fear of being alone? And remember who you are. Remember why you're here. Remember what you were made to build in this world, because the freedom you seek isn't in her arms. It's in the courage to remain whole, even when you desire to lose yourself. I remember the first time I realized this. It was 3 in the morning. I was sitting on the cold floor of the room after a discussion that left me breathless. I looked at my hands and realized they were trembling, not from anger, but from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. In that silence, I heard the whisper that Socrates would leave me if he were alive. Do you really know who you are, or are you waiting for her to tell you that dawn I decided I wouldn't live anymore in search of being chosen? I would choose myself, and it was on that day that I stopped being a slave to affection and started being a man. If you felt this somewhere inside you, thank you for staying until here. It means there's still fire in you. Now, if something inside you awakened, don't let it die when you close this video. Oh, and don't forget to click the link in the description or the first pinned comment to watch the complete video about the mental reprogramming process that has been helping ordinary people achieve more clarity, focus, and emotional control based on science, philosophy, and daily practices. Leave a like, not out of vanity, but so this content reaches other men who are ready to hear what the world doesn't have the courage to say. Comment below which part broke you, which truth you needed to hear and were avoiding, and if this video was a wake-up call. Subscribe. This channel isn't for everyone. It's for those who got tired of living on emotional crumbs that you need to watch now if you want to deepen what we started today. I won't tell you the theme. Just trust, click, and continue your journey, because this is just the beginning.